Perch are coming out of the north end of Mille Lacs, and we're seeing good numbers of size perch on the big V. Also, Sunnies and Crappies in the DL area, as well as a good look at Lake of the Woods action. This is your Minnesota Bite Report for February 16th, 2026. John S. is out fishing on Mille Lacs Lake. He's using a small gold jigging spoon where he's finding good numbers of perch, and he's also caught a couple of bonus walleyes. Nothing too big, but he says that he's getting a couple 12 to 14 inch walleyes and some nice 7 to 9 inch perch, which are actually really nice fish. Now watch yourself on Mille Lacs. We are hearing that there's some changes on the ice out there. If anybody has any reports on the ice conditions, feel free to leave it in the comments. Out on Big V, Joel M. is catching good numbers of perch out in Wake 'em Up Bay. Sounds like he's bouncing around in the deep holes out there, where he has also caught a few nice crappies mixed in with those perch. He's using a small blue teardrop jig tipped with a fathead, and it sounds like he's doing pretty good. The bigger crappies are also taking those fatheads, so it's just a nice time of year to be out on Vermilion catching some fish. He did have one bonus 26.5 inch walleye while he was out fishing in Wake 'em Up Bay. There's a couple different spots you can go out there. There's a deep hole, and then there's also the narrows. If you're gonna fish in the Wake 'em Up narrows, please be careful. There's some sketcy spots of ice in the Wake 'em Up narrows. The DL area, Dave M. is fishing and doing well on Sunnies and Crappies. He's bounced around, and he found some good numbers of fish on Little Pine. He was finding 8 to 10 inch crappies and doing pretty well. So that's a nice little lake to fish, but if you are gonna try and fish Little Pine, you need to be careful. There is moving water on Little Pine, and with the weather changing here, you always need to be careful what you're doing when you're out on Little Pine. So please keep your eyes open out there. He also fished Pelican, that is over by Pelican Rapids, and he was doing a really good job on Sunnies, getting some good numbers of fish on a plain hook and a split shot. So that's really nice. It's nice to be seeing these big Sunnies coming out. And he said he's getting quite a few Sunnies in the 7 to 9 inch range, which are just fantastic Sunnies and really good eating Sunnies too, if you can find them. He's been using crappie minnows, and he's gotten 5 so far in the 9 to 12 inch range, crappies that is. So watch the ice again on Little Pine, and when you're out fishing Pelican, there's also a river on there that you're really gonna wanna watch yourself as you're fishing Pelican and Little Pine in the DL area. The Minnesota Bite Report is brought to you by Easy Fish USA and Range Behavior. Looking for an outfitter in the Lake Vermilion area? Look for Easy Fish USA for tow service to entry point number 1 of the Boundary Waters into Trout Lake, canoe and boat rentals, and guide service. Let's go catch some fish. Now, the action on Lake of the Woods, this still continues to probably be your best bet to find walleyes and saugers if you want to get on the walleye bite. The rest of the state has seemed to slow down. We're hoping to pick up here, but Lake of the Woods is still producing a good amount of walleyes and saugers. You can still get in a day 10 to 20 if you really can get out there and get into them. Mike B is fishing the Baudette side, where he's seeing fish in close and out at 30 feet. He fished both areas, and he's just using a plain hook and a split shot on the dead stick. He's finding more fish are taking the dead stick than the spoons. He actually said the jigging spoons are spooking fish, and so he completely stopped using them. Seeing good numbers of 11 to 13 inch saugers, and he also saw a nice 24 inch walleye, so that is a really nice fish. That is on the Baudette side. He fished 2 areas, and this is out past Pine Island. So he fished in 24 feet of water, somewhat close to Pine Island, within 5 miles of Pine Island. And then he did go out to 30 feet. He found his best fish out at 30 feet. All right, Larry M is fishing the Rainy River, and he said it's a little slower than the lake, but he's still getting respectable numbers of 14 to 16 inch walleyes, which is really nice to see. Now he's catching these on a frozen shiner. So the river still seems to be producing a little bit more on the frozen shiners than anything else. So keep that in mind. He also wanted to say that he released all fish. Now, it is getting to that point where on the river you are going to want to watch. We're starting to get to the spring here. Weather is changing. So let's make sure that we're being safe when we're on the rivers or any lakes with moving water. All right, Williams in the middle of the lake, Trent T. He moved 3 times but found fish in 29 feet of water off of one of the reefs. So when you fish Williams, you'll start to see that there's some reefs, there's some rock piles, which you don't normally see on Lake of the Woods. Get off of those a little ways and then find a nice little pocket where you're finding fish swimming through. In Williams, he was just using a plain hook with a weight and a frozen shiner. So this is a time where he was actually doing pretty well in that Williams area with just a plain hook and a frozen shiner. And he was dead sticking also. He found that the jigging spoon was spooking the fish also. Okay, on the Warroad side, Steve P is fishing in 24 feet of water. And he's actually jigging with a minnow head. So he decided to jig over there. He ended up landing 8 Saugers and 3 Walleyes. His Walleyes were 14, 17, and 21 inch. And he did end up getting one 26-inch northern, which is a lot of fun. Like and subscribe to the Minnesota Bite Report. Think about sending your ice reports and pressure ridge reports to the Minnesota Bite Report. There are a lot of people that want to go out fishing or requests from people that want to take little kids fishing. So if you could, send us the launch reports, the entrances onto the ice, and the pressure ridge reports if you could, so we could get some of these fathers and mothers that want to take their kids out fishing. That would just be a great thing to do. So a lot of people are reporting the Dead Sea. And I just wanted to say that I'm going to go out today and I'm going to do a video on what I like to do while the fishing is extremely slow. It definitely seems like it's the Dead Sea for a lot of people this time of year. And I'm going to go out and give a report on what I like to do when it's really slow in the fish house. There's quite a few things that I like to do, and this could be a really good way for some people to find some extra ways to get out and get some fish. All right, from your Minnesota Bite Report, I'm JT, and let's go find some fish.